Next, I am seeking the school board's approval on the schematic design for the Auditorium Addition project at Tuckahoe Middle, and we'll have a brief overview of what that entails before, again, we formally seek approval.
Thank you again. And I was remiss, I'd like to identify Michelle Loveland, our project manager. Michelle, if you can just raise your hand. She's right behind Stephen. I should have identified her earlier, but she is our project manager for the Longin and Davis project. And then right now, we're going to give you our schematic design update on our Tuckahoe Middle School Auditorium addition. This is a meals tax project, and we were very fortunate, as it is a meals tax project, we utilized our annual design contracts. And with me today is our Quinn Evans team, and that is Charles Tilley, our principal, and Allie Jarrett, our project manager. The first project is, of course, at Tuckahoe Middle School, and the game plan is we will take the auditorium layout that we create at Tuckahoe, possibly make some entry changes, and we will carry that forward to Brookland and Fairfield as we continue to look at those campus-style sites and their auditorium. So with that, I will turn it over to Quinn Evans.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Cashwell. I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. Allie and I would like to share with you the schematic concept that we've been working on for the past 3 months at Tuckahoe Middle School. I'm going to talk a little bit about the overall site things, and then Allie's going to share with you the design ideas. As you know, the campus sits along Three Chop here. I don't know if you can see my cursor there. Three Chop's here on the left, the main road. The front entrance that faces Three Chop. When we did the renovation back in 2019, we created a master plan that identified a location for where an auditorium might be located, a standalone auditorium. So it's campus style. So we're sticking with that idea. So the blue block here, we've identified as the project site. It's front of the site. You know, people can see it. Easy to find as parents are coming to events and those types of things. These are a few of the pictures of the existing campus. The top left picture there is the front door of the school, looks out towards Three Chop. The two pictures on the top, center and right, are part of the campus updates that we did in 19, where we created this organic pathway connection system that created outdoor classroom spaces and ways to connect between the buildings that were not under the canopies. And so we're bringing that idea forward as a part of this project. The bottom left and the center are the sort of looking at the site as it stands today, where the building is going to be located. The center bottom picture is this is the main student path off the parent drop-off. As students arrive in the morning, they will come up this pathway, and then the auditorium will be just to the right of that. And then as you reach the top there, this third picture, or the third picture on the right on the bottom, shows looking back towards Three Chop, and that will be sort of a small courtyard that's created between buildings 3 and 4 there. And so we see this project really as an inspiring place for performing arts for the students, but also a community center space for the community to share and have an actual dedicated auditorium, not a gymatorium. The picture on the left there is the existing site concept, and that yellow, those yellow lines of that sort of organic pathway that we created throughout the campus. The blue block there is the existing site, or the proposed site, and then the idea on the right, the orange block, is the auditorium, and we're using the auditorium shape because we're trying to be really efficient with our square footage. And working that around where the pathways, as the students enter the building in the or enter the campus in the morning, coming by that auditorium as they enter to the school.
So here's the schematic floor plan for the new auditorium building. That maroon space represents the stage that is at the heart of the auditorium building, and it opens up to the pink area, which is the seating area. There will be 500 fixed seats and 6 spaces for wheelchairs. On the right-hand side of the seating space, there is an accessible path to the stage that will not require the use of steps for stage access from the seating space. The parking lot is in the lower left-hand side of the screen, and the majority of campus is at the upper right-hand side of the screen. So when we designed the main entrance, we were thinking about the approach of the community from the parking lot and also the approach of students from the campus side. So you can see that there in that blue vestibule. The lobby space will be a nice welcoming space. There'll be toilet rooms and drinking fountains off of that. And that will lead you into the seating area, which will have proper acoustic designs that the gymatorium currently is lacking. And the stage will have the infrastructure to support a middle school level auditorium. Backstage, there will be storage, utility space, and also a toilet. Here's a view of the relationship between that main entrance building and the new auditorium building. So you can see the design is the appropriate scale to fit within the existing campus context. Here's a view from the parking lot. The cladding material will be a brick that matches the existing brick on campus. And you can see there's ample canopy space and greenery. That face of the auditorium building is along the student drop-off and pickup lane. So that'll be a nice cover shaded area for students and gathering space for pre-function before auditorium events. Here's a view of that glassy, inviting lobby area. There's that generous canopy that's at the main entrance, and that will serve to provide covered protection for a pre-function event. And that, including those horizontal sunshades that you see, will provide adequate shading for that lobby glazing. This is one sustainable strategy that we will be implementing for the project. We are pursuing LEED Silver certification for this project. Did it for you?
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Here's the student approach from campus. So you can see that strong connection with that organic courtyard pathway that Charles was describing. And then the entrance to the canopy in that, or with the canopy in that center space toward 3 Chopped. The tall walls of the auditorium here will kind of create a nice place for that courtyard, kind of surrounding walls. And they could be nice canvases for artwork or potential green walls, which we are showing in this view.
That's so awesome.
So here's a snapshot of the schedule. We are currently on track to complete construction documents in February of 2024. Yes. Bidding would be in the springtime, and anticipated construction would be June 2024 to fall of 2025. And we will leave you with this welcoming view of the auditorium design. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moore, Mr. Tilley, Ms. Jarrett. We really appreciate that schematic presentation for this auditorium. Board members, any questions or comments? And I'm going to go right to you, Mrs. Ogburn.
Thank you. You know I have them. I don't have as many as I did for the last one, but I am so excited about this. I mean, Mrs. Moore, you know the history behind working on getting this done. I think it's been about 8 or 9 years ago when the parents at Tuckahoe Middle School served everybody on the school board, everybody on the Board of Supervisors with that nice gift of, what was it, 300 or 400 signed petitions about getting the school done, and the first thing they wanted done was the auditorium. It's the last thing being done, that's okay, we're getting there. And so to see this drawing, that whole community is gonna be so excited to have a space, because it is a school that has so many musical programs within it that they've had to, I mean, I've been to performances in the gym, and so this is going to be such a big improvement. So I keep on, saying to myself, good things come to those who are very patient and are willing to wait. So, but I do have a question that came from a constituent, and that's capacity size, and how this compares to our other middle schools, because this is only 500 students. It certainly won't seat the whole student body like you would expect a high school might, but I'm just curious about that first.
Yes, ma'am. So we looked at what our other middle school auditoriums had as far as capacity, and we matched capacity with this school.
Perfect. So I appreciate that. Yeah, because I know that that was a concern. Now, you said there is storage, so that's storage for the band equipment and stuff. Classrooms added to this for music? I'm just curious at all.
We did not add classrooms. So
Okay.
this project was about the auditorium directly. We do have storage in there, but we also had storage in the original renovation design.
Right, that's what I thought.
So the performing arts have some existing storage area already, and Quinn Evans was very mindful of creating accesses from different points, particularly to the right-hand side. Let me come over here. Ooh, go back. Right over in this area, there will be a fenced area with a gate, so they would be able to bring props and stuff that they make in their
Right.
current classroom area and get it back into the back of the auditorium area without too much difficulty.
That's great. And I really appreciate that. And now, are we including the staff with input on this design, just like we did the rest of Tuckahoe Middle?
Yes, ma'am. They work very closely with the performing arts folks, as well as Chris Mosley, our specialist. They were all involved in the design iterations to get to this schematic. And I do want to introduce Adam Byfield in the back, is our project manager for the auditorium
Thank you
projects.
so much. And just if you could recap, if you don't mind, Susan, the prep that went in, you mentioned it a little bit, Chris, when Tuckahoe was renovated, this was planned for in the future. And so the space underneath, the important underworkings in the ground, because I remember talking about this a lot at the time, that we, just so if you could review what went into the forethought of this and the location.
So we identified a couple of locations. We felt like this was the most appropriate location because it gave quick access to the parking area. So for what kind of use an auditorium gets, we felt like this was the most appropriate. Just to the southwest, at the sidewalk line and into the parking area is our underground stormwater retention system. So when we designed the renovation, we made sure we left that space clear of any kind of underground stormwater retention, any major piping. We do have a little bit that's alongside the existing cafeteria kitchen building, which that is that adjacent building on the right. But those were some of the preparations. We did not do any building pad prep, but we left the area alone.
Right, which I think was great thinking ahead. And I would assume, since this is a sort of a blueprint for what will come at the other two middle schools, that preparation wasn't done. So is it possible that when we get to, it's Rolfe and Fairfield, correct? No.
Brookland and
excuse me,
Fairfield.
Brookland and Fairfield, there might be additional site prep
Correct.
that this location doesn't have.
That's
So it's
correct.
going to be a different cost, possibly.
And I will tell you, we went with the two family-style bathrooms on the front of this auditorium because we have group bathrooms very nearby within the classroom building. So we may have to look at the bathrooms a little bit differently. And we'll tackle that when we start to look at where the auditorium can be placed on the other sites.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ogburn. Ms. Atkins.
I also just wanted to note some of the sustainability practices that I saw in your design, specifically when we're thinking about the green wall and what I hear from many students around how they love their planet. And that particular design screams that we are listening to students as well. Outside of the need of an auditorium, I think as long as we are thinking futuristic, particularly the green wall. I absolutely love the glass entrance that we have folks walking into it and the natural sunlight and really paying attention to some of the natural resources that we can utilize in very different ways. So kudos to you for this particular design. I really like the shape. And really presentation and letting folks know and changing conditioning that it doesn't have to be a square or a circle. That's very important for people to see. So in construction projects moving forward, thinking futuristically, perception is going to be grand on this because of the shape alone. So I am very impressed with this design.
Thank you very much. And I do, I'll let Charles speak, but I did want to indicate that Quinn Evans is being quite modest on the organic pathways and the landscape, the design that they did on Tuckahoe Middle School, because I do want to put out there, it is an award-winning landscape design that we're tying into, that they are tying into with their new design.
100%, I noticed that. 100%. I am in love with the thought of being prepared for the future and honoring natural resources and bringing it into the classroom, as well as bringing students outside of it, because there's so many lessons to be learned. I will tell you what I've seen in response from students to Green Wall is amazing. All the ideas that spark in STEAM, especially in reading, sitting on the floor beside a green wall, all these different things that I see from their faces, as well as the comments that they make. And some of this is just from me visiting the Brock Center, because they have some of this and they really practice well sustainability. But I am absolutely in awe of this design, and I hope to see this in more of our schools.
Okay, board members, any other questions or comments? Okay, well, all right, now we're
Wait,
going
I've
to...
got one, sorry.
Oh, you do
I
have
do,
one.
I
All right,
do.
Mrs.
That was
Shea.
the arm of shame, because
Okay, all right, let's hear some questions or concerns or comments.
again, Mrs. Ogburn really checked most of my boxes here. I know the performing arts staff have shared how much they enjoyed working with y'all in preparing this and really making sure it checks all the boxes they need. So thank you for that and including them in that. I just want to make sure as we're revamping all of this, we're doing it right, as this administration has really been dedicated to for all of our recent construction projects. We're putting in like new soundboard, new lights. We're not recycling from the gymnatorium. No. Okay, great. That is what I want to hear. I want to make sure that when we're doing it, let's do it right. Let's set our students up for success. Over 70% of Tuckahoe Middle students are involved in performing arts. So this is really going to be a flagship for this community. Thank you. Now I'm done.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one more.
Okay, Mrs. Shea, one more.
So sorry. So sorry. This actually, Mr. Tilley takes you off the hook. And this is for Ms. Moore. So really excited about this project for Tuckahoe Middle School. However, real close nearby, there's another project brewing. And I was hoping just in the context of this, you could share. I know they're for those listening, they are funded through different sources.
Correct.
This is funded through our meals tax, while the REQ that is brewing is going to be funded through our bond. But since they are neighboring projects, I want to make sure the public knows that all projects are moving forward. So can you just give us kind of very broadly, what's the status with Quioccasin in terms of kind of planning? Where are we?
I will be glad to. So the RFP for design services, close y'all's ears, is out on the street. They are receiving proposals on September 29th. There was a pre-proposal meeting 2 days ago, and we have already got our selection of the selection committee, and they've been notified that they are part of the selection committee for our designers. Because this is a bond project and because it is a $90 million plus project, we needed to do a request for proposal in order to determine who our design team will be. We have limitations on what we can do with our annual contract. So that's a big difference in the timeline between our auditorium project versus Quioccasin. We would anticipate that we'll do interviews for the shortlisted firms in October, with a contract award in November and a start of design in November. So things are moving along very quickly with the Quioccasin rebuild project. or the REQ. I like that. We're going to have to use that.
I have to give, my husband came up with it. He would be he trademarked it, so he'd be very upset if I didn't give him credit.
We'll,
So
we'll add the
we'll
the
use it.
symbol.
I love it. I love it. The REQ. Thank you.
You're very
Really
welcome.
exciting things happening for both schools in the area. And I appreciate the update on Quioccasin as we had the other bond projects and this neighboring. Excited about it all. Now I'm really, really done, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Shea, and I'm excited to hear the collaboration in the Shea household that you share. That you share your enthusiasm for these projects at work as well as at home. We're very excited. So now, finally, we get to approve the schematic design for this auditorium. Thank you very much for the presentation, by the way. Board members, may I please have a motion?
I'd be glad to. I move that the school board enthusiastically approve the schematic design for the auditorium project at Tuckahoe Middle School.
Thank you so much for the enthusiastic motion. Mrs. Ogburn, may I have a second?
Second.
There we go.
Thank you for your enthusiasm, Mrs. Shea. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The schematic design is approved.